Hello everyone. Today we're gonna talk about a very important topic, something that we use it every day. What is it? So let me show you. The present simple tense. The present simple tense, we use it a lot. Okay, so when do we use this tense? We use this tense to talk about scientific facts. Scientific facts, like something that's always true, something that never changes. Like for example, the sun rises in the east. This is something that never changes, inshallah, in the hereafter, in the day of judgment. It will rise from the west. Like water boils at 100 degrees. This is a scientific fact. And also we use this to talk about personal habits, something that we do it repeatedly again and again, like our daily routine. Like I wake up at 7, I have breakfast at 8, I sleep at 9 or 10. Okay, so that's about the personal habits. And also we use it to talk about general information, like information about myself. Like I work as a teacher, I live in Maadi. This is a piece of information about myself. He works as a teacher, he works as a doctor, and so on. And also we use it to talk about future timetables, like schedules, like the train of Alexandria arrives at 7, and so on. So we use it to talk about something that doesn't change a lot. All right, so that's about the present simple tense and when do we use this tense. It's very important to differentiate between this tense and, for example, the present continuous. Okay, so now we know when do we use this tense. Like for example, when I say I work as a teacher, not I am working as a teacher, I work. Okay, so that's a very important to use this tense in these situations. All right, okay, now let's move. How can we form a sentence in this tense? We have the personal pronoun I, and we have the plural pronouns you, we, and they. We use the verb with them in the infinitive form. What is the meaning of the infinitive form? It means the root of the verb without adding anything to the verb, without adding s, ing, or anything. Like I eat, you eat, we eat, they eat, go, study, and so on. We don't add anything to the verb, all right? So we don't add anything to the verb with I, you, we, and they. And with the third person, he, she, or it, we add to the verb the plural addings, you know, like the plural. When we get the plural form of any word, we add s, es, or is. Here's the same. We add to the verb s, es, or ies. Okay, let's start with es. When do we add es to the verb? Of course, we add es to the verb when we use it with he, she, or it. By the way, we can change he to be Ahmad, Mustafa, she to be Mona, Aisha, it to be the car, the dog, whatever. All right, so we add es to the verb with he, she, or it when we have any of these endings. When we have any verb ends with ss, sh, sh, or ch, sh two times, sorry. So sh and ch, x, o, or z. When we have any of these endings, 6 endings, we should add es, but we should repeat it again with he, she, or it, because you know, if we have any endings with I, you, we, and they, we don't add anything. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we add these endings with he, she, or it. All right. Okay. For example, we have a verb ends with ss, like cross, So with he, she, or it, we add es. So to be crosses. Whoosh or wash. In America, say wash. In the British English, they say wash. Okay. So washes or washes. Okay. Here, watch. Or in America, they say watch. So watches or watches. Okay. We have here fix. We add es to be fixes. Go, we add es to be goes. Can you see here we have go with I, you, we, and they. We didn't add anything, but here we added es with he, she, or it. All right. Buzz, buzzes. All right. So we add es with he, she, or it when we have any of these endings. 6 endings: ss, sh, ch, xo, or z. Or z. You know, in America they say z, or in Britain they say z. All right. And then we have ies. Ies when we have a verb ends with y, and before y a consonant, like for example d. Consonants letters or consonants. You know, we have vowels and we have consonants or consonants. Vowels, we have 5 vowels or 5 vowel letters: a, e, I, o, u. And we have the rest of the letters, B, C, D, or whatever. We have 21 letters. They are consonants. So when we have any letters not from the vowels, not A, E, O, U, and so on, any other letter like D, B, whatever, so we turn Y into IES. So study, studies. Can you see here? It's the study the same. We didn't change anything. We have the infinitive form. But here, with he, she, or it, we turn Y to BIES. To study, studies. Okay? All right. So now we know when do we add ES. We add ES with these endings, and IES when we have a verb ends with Y and before Y a consonant. But if we have before Y a vowel, like for example play, we add S. All right, so we add S. So eat to be eats, we add S here. Sleep to be sleeps. And here play to be plays, we add S, not ES. Okay, so now we know how to form a sentence in this sense. We have with I, you, we, and they, we have the verb without am, is, or are, without adding before the verb. For example, like the present continuous, we add am, is, or are, verb plus ing. But here we don't add am, is, or are. We can say, for example, I am eat. It's totally wrong. Okay, so I eat breakfast at 8. All right, like that. With I, you, we, and they, we don't add anything to the verb. But with he, she, or it, we add s, es, or ies. Es with these, ies when we have y and before y a consonant, s anything else. Like for example, a verb ends with d, t, like eat. With p, with y but before y a vowel, or anything else, we add s. All right. So now we know when do we use this tense and how can we form a sentence in this tense with any personal pronoun. Right? Okay. Now let's move to the keywords. You know, with any tense, we should have keywords to talk about this tense. We have here these keywords we use. We collected them in the word dinosaur. Dinosaur. We have a word for each letter of these letters. Okay. We have for D, daily. Do you remember? We use this tense to talk about habits or routine. So something that you do it daily. So we use with the daily, or every day, something that we do it 100% every day. I, we don't have anything, by the way, with the letter I. Then we have N. N, never. Something that we never do, 0%. All right, like I never sleep late. like that. And then we have often. Often, like some things that we do it like 70%. I can miss, for example, 2 or 3 days a week. So some things that I often do. And then we have sometimes. Sometimes like 50%. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't do. And then we have seldom. Seldom like 20%, like a day or 2 days of the week. And then we have always. Always like 100%, like every day. And then we have usually. Usually it is stronger than often, 80%. Rarely it has the same meaning of seldom. Something that I rarely do it, like 20%, like a day or 2 days. Okay, so we collected the words of habits in this word, or in the letters of this word, dinosaur. Okay, daily, every day, and never, or often is sometimes or seldom. Always, by the way, in some accents they say always, so you can say always or always. And here, by the way, in some accents they say often. You can say often or often, both are correct. And we have usually and rarely. Okay, by the way, how can we use these words in the sentence? We use every day at the end of the sentence. Like, for example, I sleep at 10 every day. And the rest of these letters, we can use them before the main verb. Like, I usually sleep, before the verb sleep, I usually sleep, I never sleep at 10, I often, I sometimes you can use it before the verb, or we can use it at the beginning of the sentence, like sometimes I sleep at 10, like that. Always, usually, and so on. Okay, so we know about the keywords, or sometimes they call it signal words, the words that we use it to talk about habits. Okay, with the percentage. This is to show the power of your habit. If something like you do it like 100% daily, every day, or always, 80% usually, 70% often, 50% sometimes, 20% seldom or rarely, 0% never. Okay, so that's about the keywords we use in this tense. All right. Okay, now let's move to the last part about this tense. How to ask a question. By the way, we can say question or question. In America, they say it's hard to pronounce S and T-I-O-N. T-I-O-N, we pronounce it like sh. So we can't pronounce S and sh in the same time. So they can say question. You can say question or question. Both are correct. An answer. You can say answer or answer. In Britain, you know, they say answer like that. Okay, so how to ask a question and how to answer this question. We have two kinds of questions. We have yes and no question. Yes or no, because you answer with yes or no. We use the helping verb. You know, in this tense, we don't have a helping verb. Like, for example, in the present continuous, we have am, is, or are. In some tenses, we have has or has, had, and so on. Here, we don't have. In the simple tenses, like present simple or past simple, we don't have helping verbs. So we should bring helping verbs. Do or does. Of course, do. Let me write. Do. Let's see. What's going on? Okay, so we can say. So do, this is the infinitive form. So do you remember we use the infinitive form with I, you, we, and they. So we use do with I, you, we, and they. And does, we have do and we added es after O. So we use does with he, she, or it. For example, we can say do, like do you speak English? Yes, I do. We answer yes, I do. Does he live in Maadi? Yes, he does. Or no, he doesn't. Like that. So you ask about like information. Does he work as a teacher? Yes, yes, he does. Or no, he doesn't. Like that. Does he like watermelon? Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. Like that. So we use do or does, and then the subject. The subject, you know, the doer of the action. We can use I, he. He, for example, we can replace he with Ahmad, Mustafa, Abdurrahman. So the doer of the action. It doesn't matter about to use a pronoun or a noun. We can sometimes replace the noun with a pronoun, like Ahmad, you can use he. Mona, you can use she. The students, you can use they. So the subject, it doesn't matter by a pronoun or a noun, okay? And then we have the verb, of course, with do or does in the infinitive form. The infinitive form without adding anything to the verb, without adding s or es or is or anything. All right. And then we have the WH question. The WH question, what is the meaning of WH? The question words, or sometimes we call it information question. All the question words in English include or have WH. Like, for example, what? We have WH. Who? WH. Where? When? Which? Even how? But how, we know they are not after each other. We have H, O, W, but we have WH. Okay, so we call it a WH question. WH, then we add do or does, and then we have the subject and the verb in the infinitive form. Like, for example, where does he live? Where does he work? Where do you work? Like that. So we add WH, and then we do or does, and then we have the subject and the verb in the infinitive form. Okay, so that's about the question, how to ask a question, and how can we answer the two different questions, yes or no question, or WH question, right? Okay, so now we know everything about the present simple tense. We know when do we use it, how to form a sentence in this tense, and of course we know about the keywords we use in this tense. We collected them in the word dinosaur, and of course we know how can we ask and answer questions in this tense. All right, okay, so now let's have some activities. All right, we have our meals. We have 3 main meals every day. We have breakfast. Breakfast, we have it in the morning, and then we have lunch. You know, lunch, we have it in the afternoon, like around 12 and 3, or even sometimes, you know, it is different from country to another. Like, for example, in some countries in Europe, they have breakfast like around 7 or 8 in the morning, and then they have lunch around 12 or 1 p.m. and dinner, they have their dinner earlier than us. Like, for example, they have dinner like around 5 or 6, but here we have dinner like before going to sleep, like 9 or 10. Okay, so it's different from country to another. Okay, so that's about our main meals. We call them meals: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sometimes they have additional meals. Like, for example, they have something they call it brunch. They mix between breakfast and lunch. Something like in the middle, brunch. We have a croissant called the brunch. Yeah, so brunch, something you can have it between breakfast and lunch. And they have supper. Supper, it's between lunch and dinner. Sometimes we can say, for example, I'm hungry. So and this is a time, it's not the time of breakfast or lunch or dinner. So what can I call it? We call it snacks. You can have snacks between meals, right? Okay. Now we have a question here. What do you usually have for? And then when you ask, for example, about what do you eat at any time, for example, what do you have for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? We have here, for example, yogurt, fava beans, cheese, and jam. We usually have here in Egypt for breakfast or even dinner, you know, we have breakfast and dinner. with same items. We can have, for example, yogurt for breakfast, or at night before going to sleep. We can have it for dinner as well, yogurt. And we have fava beans. Fava beans, this is our traditional dish here in Egypt. Yani. After we wake up, we have fava beans. Okay, so fava beans, or even sometimes we have it for dinner or for suhoor, you know, in Ramadan. Okay, so we have fava beans, and we have, of course, cheese. It's a very light cheese, and we have jam. Jam, yeah, it's very useful because, you know, they make jam with from fruits, you know, like strawberry, fig, you know, fig. It's very famous here in Egypt, or apricot. Okay, so we have jams with different flavors. Okay, so we have, so we can say, for example, what do you usually have for breakfast? I can say I usually have yogurt for breakfast. I often have fava beans for breakfast or for dinner. I can say, for example, sometimes I have cheese for breakfast or jam for dinner, like that. Okay, I can ask a question, what do you usually have for lunch? He can say chicken. You know, after can we use the verb in the infinitive as well. I can say, I can swim. Okay, so after can we don't add s or es or is. Okay, so what do you usually have for lunch? I usually have chicken for lunch. Chicken. Okay, or burger. You know, by the way, it's very important to say burger. By the way, it's a burger, not burger. Okay, and we shouldn't say hamburger, because, you know, ham, you know, the ham, this is the meat from pork or from the pig. You know, it's not allowed to eat ham. Okay, so it's better to say burger, or you can say beef burger, chicken burger, and so on. Okay, for example, he usually, for example, eats shrimp. By the way, we say shrimp. We don't add s, because, you know, it's a common mistake. They add s to shrimp. It's shrimp. We don't add s. We have some words we don't add s or es to these words. Like, for example, fish. The plural of fish, it's a fish. We don't add es. Fishes. It's a fish. Okay. Shrimp, not shrimps. Okay. Shrimp. So we can say, for example, he usually or he rarely, because, you know, it's a very expensive here in Egypt. So we can say he rarely eats a shrimp for lunch. They usually have pizza for lunch. Okay, so we have these items we use for breakfast or dinner. We use these items, these kinds of food. And for lunch, we can, most of people eat meat, like chicken, burger, or even shrimp or pizza. You know, they have meat on the pizza sometimes. And dinner, we have something light, like breakfast. So we can eat, we can have all of these for breakfast or dinner in the same time. And this is for lunch. Okay, so we ask about habits, or our daily habits. Habits, for example, like something that you do it repeatedly, some things that you eat it always, or usually, or often, or sometimes, and so on. So we ask using the present simple tense. This is a WH question in the present simple tense. What? And then we have do, and then the subject, and we have here usually, it's a keyword, and then we have the verb in the infinitive form. What do you usually? What does he usually have? You can say it should be has. We use has with he or she or it. It's okay, we use it in the sentence, but in the question, after we use do or does, we should turn the verb to be in the infinitive form, and the infinitive have, not has. Okay, so what does he have, not has. Okay, so that's a very important. So now we know how to use this tense. It's very important to use this tense. We use it in our daily basis, and of course we can differentiate it between this tense and the other tense, like the present continuous tense. Okay, the present continuous tense, we use the present continuous tense to talk about something that we do it now or today, something like temporary, something like exceptional. We just do it today or now. But this tense we use to talk about our routine, like some things that we do it again and again. So that's the difference between the present simple and the present continuous. Sometimes they use it present progressive. So you can say present continuous. Okay, but we focused today on this tense. Okay, so that's very important to know. When do we use this tense? How can we form a sentence in this tense? And the keywords. And of course, how can we ask and answer questions in this tense? And we had these activities and these vocabulary in the form of the present tense, like some things that we do it again and again, like our daily meals, okay, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed our lesson today. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon, inshallah. All right, goodbye.